When this happened, then you found fabricated hadiths began to be narrated. Yeah, exactly. Oh, where? Like it's in Iraq. So you had this rebellion from amongst like the tribe called Zanj, and it's known in history called the Zanj rebellion. This is all in the Muslim lands. And then you found that you had a lot of more fabricated hadiths attributed to the Prophet, falsely attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, demonizing blacks. That there was a fabricated tradition that says that there's no good in Abyssinians. Another one that says there's no good in blacks. When they're satiated, like when they're content, like they fornicate. Or when they're hungry, they steal, or something of that like. So it was like these type of traditions. Those traditions, fabricated traditions, attributed to the Prophet ﷺ against the Berbers as well. Because when the Muslims were going to the Berber lands, initially a lot of the Berbers were resistant towards Islam, and then later a lot of them became Muslim, and they became great Muslims, like in terms of scholars and warriors and things like that. But you had again because of this resistance, you had some fabricated traditions attributed to the Prophet ﷺ demonizing Berbers, saying that like they're all evil and things like that. So this was something which, because of society problems or things that was happening in society, you had some people, unfortunately, that were fabricating traditions. And because, again, as Muslims, we know that unless something is from the Quran or the Prophet ﷺ, you don't have to actually take anything. So obviously, by people then attributed to the Prophet ﷺ, it's like you have to take it, kind of thing. So that was one of the reasons that. And again, some of these traditions intensified, and it's something that. But again, a lot of these traditions have been, all of them, in fact, have been like the scholars of hadith have gone through them, sifted them out, and explained that they're mawdu', which is fabricated. But again, someone who's not aware of that, again, like non-Muslims, I think they're using some of these traditions. Like, oh, did you know that real prophets? Because someone came to me and said, your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said such and such. Well, he didn't say sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he said such and such. And again, the reason it's about empowering people so you understand your religion, not only understand the Quran and Hadith, but understand things in this context and what Muslims have done. Because people, if you don't understand your religion, you can easily succumb to it. If not yourself, like I said, your family members. So I think that's why I wanted to kind of emphasize on that. So did you want to ask a question?
I sort of understood from this that in the days of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
yes,
and the Hadith that you're quoting, what you're speaking about now. In the days of the Arabs at this time, what we distinguish as colour was completely different. When they referred to colour, it was in a descriptive term, and not the way that we see colour today, as in black, white, red, brown. Mm-hmm. It was actually, we could have all been of one people, different colours in terms of description.
Yes.
But it's in Arabic and in translation where we're getting lost.
Yes.
But in saying that, Arabic is still being spoken and people are still masters of Arabic.
Yes.
So how is it still allowed to perpetuate? When people, when people know, I'm sure there are people that know, that an Arab might be described as black, not necessarily being African, or he might be described as white, but not necessarily Caucasian. Mm-hmm. But the idea has been allowed to perpetuate today. Mm-hmm. Oh, the Hadith says he's white, the Hadith says such and such, the Hadith says that. So amongst ourselves, we have this poison regardless, as people, and it's not an Islamic problem like you said, but it's a human problem. Yeah.
It is a human problem. It's something that, how it got to this stage, I'll give you another example, like the term abd. Abd means like slave. Yeah, it means slave. That's the meaning of it. Nowadays, it's mainly referred to just a black person. And it's something that changed over time that, like I said, abd was just referred to a slave, whether you're black, white, or whatever. Over a period of time, abd was just referred to a black slave, and mamluk was referred to a white slave. That's just something that happened over time. It's just something like the same way in English words have different changes and have different meanings over time. Why exactly? We don't know, but it just changes over time. So again, the reason why I'm saying it is because you can, if you're reading something, particularly in different areas, you might not understand the context and how people use it. Do you understand? That's why, again, when I spoke about the different terms like black, white, it's understand how the first Arabs and how the early Muslims used it, because that's ultimately, if you want to understand the Quran and the Sunnah or the Hadith, that's what we have to understand, how they understood the terms, so we wouldn't have these misconceptions. But like I said, like with the terms like abd and mamluk, that's like another example of where, over a period of time, words just change and had different meanings.
Would you say it's all to do with economics?
Would I
The
say?
whole concept of colour.
Why would you say? Why?
Because if somebody of, say, a lighter complexion,
Yes.
and they're narrating hadith in their favour,
Right.
to put down somebody of a darker complexion, then it's economics, isn't it?
Why would you say it's just I wouldn't say just economics. I mean, that's a factor, but I wouldn't say it's just solely economics.
Politics.
It's politics as well as to do with it, and some of it is just. I mean, I'll agree with that in economics is a factor. I wouldn't say it's the only factor because I mean, especially when in regards to like slavery as well, because that is a serious issue, and again, hopefully, inshallah, we speak about that more tomorrow. I mean, next week, but I think politics is another issue, and there's another issue. It's just. I can't really put a finger on it, like why, but it's just something that happened over time. And again, it's just something that, I'm not sure exactly the actual issue is like what it is. I can't really put a finger on it, but Allah knows best. And is it because it's Saturday that everyone's kind of like?
We have plenty of questions.
No, I know seriously because I really like when it's kind of back and forth and it's not just one way kind of thing because I think we've kind of gone through quite a bit. I can go into more, but again, without kind of like losing people.
In the mid-90s,
Yes.
The European archaeologists discovered a skeleton in Kenya, and they discovered 70% of the bones.
Yes.
And they estimated that this skeleton was about 12. There's a male, about 12 years old.
Right.
And they put a date roughly about 15,000 years old. They came to a conclusion that he must have been a black. He must have been in Kenya.
Yes.
15,000 years old. So we're talking about 10 to 15,000 years. Now, what you've just been telling us today,
Yes.
which is very informative as far as I'm concerned, anyway, is not 10,000 years old. So how do
we kind of like? Do you know, to be honest, the thing I would say, I mean, I'm not, because I used to come across, I used to hear things like that quite a bit, and I think especially in this society we take science and archaeology and a lot of what they say, like a lot of their quote unquote evidence is like it's factual. The first thing obviously we should try and as much as possible, especially as Muslims, is take obviously anything that's from the Quran and the Sunnah first and foremost, and anything that kind of that can support that, then we possibly would take that. If it's not, then it's not. It shouldn't really be a question of we know like the facts. Anything that kind of supports that, then it might be true. It might not be true. But I mean, why?
To me, colour.
The reason why, sorry to cut you off, the reason why I think it's quite difficult because I mean, like even like we know that the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, the Adam ﷺ, in terms of his height, he was much taller than. We haven't really got many. The archaeologists haven't really found much bones speaking about that.
They have.
Have they? Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, because the only thing, the bones that they kind of, well, from my understanding, they found was kind of like what they said is dinosaurs or something like that. But naturally, human beings that are really that I don't know. Maybe they have. I did it.
Arabia.
Right.
I'm not sure of the date, but I'm sure it's in the 2000 period.
Yeah.
The military was performing an exercise and they sort of discovered some stuff or whatever. Anyhow, when they dug up these bones,
Yes.
the head was 5 foot.
SubhanAllah, I don't know that.
5 foot. The head.
Wow.
From head to toe was 36 feet.
Wow.
These are factual.
I didn't know that. I didn't know, mashallah.
You know, this is why I say it's economics, because the fact is there.
Yes.
As to who is who and what, you know, but we know racism is a disease
Yes.
of the heart.
Yes.
You see, there's only one race, which is the human race. And through the human race we have different shades.
Yes.
So, and we know that the first races, some say, was Iblis.
Yes.
And so racism is of that nature.
Yes.
You see, so as Muslims, we shouldn't have a problem.
Yes, with it, of course. Most
We
definitely.
don't have a problem.
But I have.
You mentioned it's very important in terms of evidence, whether it be science, whether it be archaeology. all of that has to be under Kitab and Sunnah. The book and Sunnah must decide.
Yes.
And if it contradicts, then it's wrong.
Rejected.
Yeah, and if it's supporting, then we accept it. And if it's neither here or there, then we can't accept or reject. Quran and Sunnah above everything. And the other principle is that in terms of Quran and Sunnah, as Ustad Habeeb mentioned, it's against racism totally. And that's when early Muslims, we talk about the time of the Prophet and the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, it wasn't existence as it became in later times. So that's quite important to understand. That's why we need to go back to those sources and that time and establish that. Thirdly, the book that Ustad Habeeb has written, a lot of the questions that you're asking are answered in the book. Yeah? In terms of definitions. That's why even the title, it was very difficult for me to find the title because it's not really history, as you can see. The definition of terms of black, of color, of race, of ethnicity. So, the title we agreed was blackness. But I think if you go through the book, inshallah, a lot of questions will be answered, inshallah. And inshallah, outside, there's some copies that Ustad Habeeb has. So, brothers, please try and purchase it, inshallah.
Inshallah. Any other questions?
Just want to ask a question.
I think, okay. Yeah. Last question.
Where are you from, Portugal?
Originally, Nigeria. You're welcome.
We're all Muslims, brother.
We're Muslims.
Just the point on the race, I just want to find out exactly right.
Shukran. Okay, I think that was the last. Oh, sorry. One more
question. I don't know. The kind of advice you can what kind of advice you can give to us, because it seems the issue of racism is something that's very paramount within our community.
Yes.
Like, for example, most of the places, like, we go to maybe conferences, even when I was in university. So this question, most of these Asian students, they always come to me and say, so are you a revert?
Yeah, I get that.
And anybody they see black practicing is like, are you a revert? Yeah. You tell them that you are born as a Muslim. Say, how?
Yeah.
Something that's very common wherever you go. So, and they need to be educated.
It's education. I mean, you just said it's education.
They just don't know anything about it.
I mean, you just said, I think you answered the question. So it's education. They need to be educated, and it's something which, I used to get that, and I do get that quite a lot. You Muslim, are you born a Muslim, or you revert, and things like that. And a lot of people, aren't educated about the religion. It's as simple as that. It's just through education, and it's different ways of educating people. I understand that some people do not necessarily like reading, so it's about obviously having sessions like this where we can talk about things. So I know not everyone's going to read, but at least we're informed about it. So when you come across people, you can educate them because you understand things. But it's through education, and the Prophet was sent to educate us. So again, it's just through education.
They always believe they are more superior.
No, but again, for education, because again, if you've got a Muslim and someone that adheres to the religion and believes strongly in religion and has got that belief, where does it come from? Someone can just believe that they're superior just because whatever, that's fine. But if you, think that you're superior because that's evidence from the Quran or something, you clearly haven't. And this person is someone that obviously does understand religion, but it's upon us to enlighten ourselves, understand our religion ourselves. So when we come across people, and it's not a case of we're bashing people over the head and saying, no, that's wrong, blah, blah, blah. It's to educate, to enlighten people.
So how do we do in a place like Saudi Arabia? Because I've got many friends that are studying there, and the way they are treating the Asian, the blacks, is quite pathetic. It's something very bad. So whenever they're narrating their stories, you start weeping for them because it's just because they just see them as maybe slaves, as being taught since small. So how do we? Because if where the Prophet came from, and something like that is very paramount around that area. So what do we do?
That's a big question. It's like I don't know. That's it's a serious problem, and it's something. But in terms of, first and foremost, I think we have to concentrate ourselves in this because it's a problem here. In terms of other communities and other countries, how we deal with it, Allah Alam, I don't really know. I don't know. But the one thing you don't want, because this is one of the reasons why I compiled this book as well, was that whilst I was abroad, I had some of my relatives, some of the young, I'm sure anyone who's been to some Muslim countries, you get abused that you don't get abused in this country. Like people be saying chocolata, yeah, Abu Aswad and things like that. And it's a thing where I knew of people that were young in age that they were victimized and they were terrorized, saying, oh, black boy, or this, that, and the other. And when we went to inform the actual imam, is well respected, he just laughed and said, it's fine, it's just kids playing. Now again, a child developing this inferiority complex is a serious thing. And to someone, and especially when they start to think that, you know, this is what, you know, I'm somewhat inferior and this is something that Allah's despised me, you know, something like that and things like that. It's something that can affect their religion. So it's paramount that first and foremost we educate ourselves, empower ourselves, because you can't really do too much for other people. But if you know yourself, like there's a saying that I really like, that no one can make you inferior without your consent. And if you know that you're not inferior to someone else, no matter what someone says, it's not going to bother you. Because you can't change the world. But in terms of you within yourself, if you're strong in Iman and you understand the religion, someone can tell you anything and it's not really going to bother you so much, because, and that's what the early community was, they were strong in their religion because they understood it. Not only in terms of like narrations, they were strong in terms of firm conviction. So when they had people that were saying different things, it was like water for ducks back. So I think that, you know, like you said, it's through education. But I think we've come to the end. Jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, see you next week.